Hello, everyone. We are live, and today I'm going to try something rather ambitious. I want to create a painting of Branwell Bronte and the Bronte sisters. And I'm doing this based on historical information. So we do have this painting available to us. It was presumably painted by Branwell. And we can see Charlotte, Emily, and Anne in it. And the area right here, which was sometimes called the pillar, um, that's where he painted himself. And then he painted himself out of the picture. Well, I want to paint him back into the picture. And I'm doing it based on a profile sketch that he did of himself, but it's very hard to do en face based on profile. So I'm going to basically be winging it. And as always, please subscribe and like if you're enjoying this. I will probably not have the entire painting done by the end of our live session today, and I will continue working on it this week, and there will be a speed painting available at the end of the week where you will see the final product. So please join me as I get started. So I pre-mixed, I took red, yellow, and blue, and I mixed them together, and I made myself a kind of nondescript brown. And I'm going to start out by trying to outline where I want the images of each of the four surviving Bronte siblings to go. So I'm going to just, at this point, this is just an outline and it's not very serious. And I'm going to paint over it. So it doesn't have to be quite right, doesn't have to be at all, but I'm just painting. And if you're here and if you have a comment, please feel free to share with me and with the rest of the audience what you think about this. So I might be going a little bit too far to the left this time. Most of my paintings are too far to the right, but I'm starting with the place where I want to paint Anne. Now, this is not what Anne really looks like, but I'm going to give her a neck. We're going to paint over all of this, so don't take it too seriously. But okay, this is the placeholder for Anne. Anne is the youngest Bronte sister. So we're going to start off like this. And then we're going to go and create a placeholder for Emily. And Emily is actually, she appears to be taller. She does appear to be quite a bit taller than Anne. So here we go. And this is our placeholder for where we're going to try to paint Emily. I'm sure Emily had a long neck, but you can't really tell that from this portion of the painting. And let's say she's over here. Now I'm going to sort of put in Charlotte, and then we're going to decide exactly where we are placing Branwell between Charlotte and Emily. So how tall is Charlotte? Not as tall as Emily, but not as short as Anne in this picture. Okay. And she's got a neck on her. And lots of room for the shoulders. And we're going to do this. And now for the exciting portion, we are going to add in the outline of Branwell. And let's see. He's a bit taller than Emily. Maybe he wanted himself to be even taller. But I don't know that that's going to happen for us here. So he's got, it's kind of like Bozo the Clown, but he's got these side hair things. And I think he probably also has side whiskers. And then there is this area right here. And there we go. The space between him and Emily is not big. There's this triangle right here that goes like that. It's part of Branwell. Also, for some reason, he's facing more toward Emily than he is toward Charlotte. He might be actually closer to Charlotte, but he's facing more toward Emily. And I know he's got some kind of side whiskers too, something like that. So there we go. This is the placement of, I might make him a little bit taller up here with his hair. Got a bit of hair here. So this is more or less how we have our friends situated here. And at this point, I'm going to pause for a minute. And I'm going to make sure that I share this on media. I have this silenced. I can see that it is really up there. I'm sharing it on Twitter. And it is, in fact, now live. Okay? All right, just in case people are late to arrive. So now we have these people sort of situated in our painting. And the question is, what do we do with them? How do we go about painting their faces and their hair and so on and so forth? So I'm just going to take a simple brush, and, one that isn't intended for detail. And I'm going to start putting in their hair. And they had mostly brown hair, although I believe that Branwell was a bit of a carrot top, and we'll get to that eventually. I don't know what exactly is going on here with Charlotte's hair. I think she has a bun in the back. And maybe all of them do, and we just can't see that. Hard to say. So, yeah, there's this shawl thing that all of the girls have. I also believe that there might have been some kind of collar here. I'm not exactly sure what was going on with that. So let's just assume that Branwell's hair was also parted somehow. maybe. And these are side whiskers. And I know I had kind of a protruding chin and sort of, I don't know, sunken eyes. So we're just going to do this. And, well, I'm not sure what's going to happen with the nose right now, but this, by the way, is not his mouth. His mouth would be here. It has spectacles on, but we'll get to those later once we have more details. Okay, so let's get everybody's hair out of the way. Just working on the basics of their hair. Okay, there's definitely a part here in Emily's hair. Okay, I'm going to give her too much hair right here. I don't know. She's got some kind of thing going on here. We can correct it later. And here we are with Anne. I guess I'm really not that into Anne's face. She seems to have a very low forehead, as in Anne is a lowbrow. Emily's kind of a highbrow. Branwell's pretty highbrow. And actually, Charlotte is an intermediate brow. She's not as lowbrow as Anne, but she has a good forehead. You know, she's not that badly off in the forehead department. The thing about the way that Charlotte looks, and the thing that made her, you know, not appear the prettiest, is that she's got a strong chin and sort of bulgy eyes. So maybe at this point I can start to caricature them. Again, this is not a final product, but I'm just sort of trying to figure out where everything goes. Okay. So she's got big eyes, Charlotte has, but they're kind of bulgy. And that along with her big chin gives her kind of it gives her kind of a bulldoggy look. You know, she's that persistent one, the one that, you know, insists on getting things done. And she, you know, she's persistent. She wants to make sure they go to Brussels. She wants to make sure they do submit their novels to a publisher and not just continue writing for their own pleasure for the rest of their lives. She's a very determined person, and without her, we would not have known about the others. So we have a lot to be grateful for in the case of Charlotte's persistence, but I want to kind of make sure that I do get that look. That, and of course, we're just getting started here, and she has a bit more like this. Okay. Now, Emily. I'm probably not going to do Emily any justice here. Emily is pretty, but she's tall, and she's kind of distracted. And of course, I am trying to follow the painting that Branwell made. This is Branwell's depiction of the girls. I don't know if it actually in fact, look like this. He gave Emily a very, very small but fuller mouth than Charlotte. So it doesn't really quite look like it, but just a start. See, my painting method is I paint over everything. So I start out with things that don't look very good, and then I don't kill myself over that. I just figure, oh well, and I go back and I change things. Now, this is a little bit tricky because Anne is being depicted here, not in full profile, but in this weird kind of half profile. And you know, she's like looking over. Her eyes are, she's looking over. And yeah, okay, she probably has more of a chin than I've given her here. But we'll get to all of that as we move along. She does have quite a bit of a long neck. Okay, so now let's see. Emily is dressed in green. Let's see if we can mix ourselves a little blue and yellow here and make a green so that we can make Emily's dress green. I'm going to assume that Branwell is dressed in either navy blue or black. I can't really tell what it was supposed to be. But Charlotte is definitely dressed in black, like in black velvet or something like that. Need more yellow in my green. So we'll get to that eventually. You know, I was talking to someone and I told them what my mission was, that I was going to be painting the Brontes with their brother. And I told that person that Branwell had actually erased himself from out of the photo. And you know what she said to me? She said, well, if he didn't want to be, no, not out of the photo, but out of the picture, really. If he didn't want to be in that picture, why do you want to put him in there? So do you think I'm violating Branwell's wishes by trying to put him in the picture? If you think that, please comment. I have such problems with people telling me that I'm violating the wishes of people from the past. You know, like when I wrote about Theodosia and the Pirates, there were certain people who felt that I dishonored her, you know, because I gave her a life. But, you know, I do honor these people, all of them, including Branwell. I'm kind of a fan. That's why I want to paint them. Of course, the whole world knows about Branwell. Daphne du Maurier wrote this book called The Infernal World of Branwell Bronte. And so I don't think I'm doing him any harm by attempting to try to recreate what he himself tried to paint at one point and then painted over. Okay, let's see, what color are the others wearing? So I'm going to give a dirty kind of blue to Anne. I mean, I can't tell. Maybe she's also wearing black, but just to make it more interesting, I'm going to give her a dark blue dress. There we go. Not much of her is in here, so yeah, I guess actually there's this white shawl of hers is over here, and it's over here. So, but there you go. Now, in the case of Charlotte, I am going to just mix my black by putting in blue in with the brown that I had before. And it's not really black, kind of a purplish thing, but we're going to start out with that as our black. If I feel I need to add to it later to make it more black, that will be fine. So, yeah. Pretty soon we'll get to the faces. Don't worry. We'll come back to the faces. This is not all. Now I've set my canvas sort of as a landscape. The original canvas of the painting of all four of them was actually, it was the other way, portrait. So it was like a full-length portrait. I'm going to assume that he's got on a very similar color here to that, which Charlotte has on. I guess I should have made him a little bit taller. He had himself quite a bit taller in the painting. But, okay, here we go. Because there's this weird triangle right here that I didn't quite get. Okay. Yeah, he's not quite standing next to Emily. Okay. All right. Let's try now to put in a little bit white, a little bit of white stuff for our highlights. And also, in the eyes to differentiate them. So, Keshe, Tieto, Vanikan. believe that I made her eyes too small. I usually make people's eyes way too large, but I feel like I made Charlotte's eyes too small. And her, her upper lip, so to speak, is sort of jutting out. Branwell is said to have somewhat of a hooked nose. I'm trying to give him that. Okay, Emily's really not well represented here right now. We're going to have to work a lot on her. And again, he gave them really large eyes, much larger than I have given them here so far. So I think it had a kind of a neckerchief here. I feel as though, yeah, he's got something white here. So this is like a first pass. This is how they're going to be arrayed together, but not necessarily what they're going to look like. Just placing them on the canvas and letting them lie there for a while. Okay, so I'm going to pick a little bit of pink. Actually, Charlotte was more flushed than the others in this picture. Obviously not this flushed, but she just seemed more so than the others. The others are pretty white-cheeked, and she is more flushed. Maybe she's always blushing, who knows? Mostly white here. Yeah, bow braids. It's just there's this kind of a shadow in here. Not a big shadow, but just a little shadow because they've all got this kind of indentation. Charlotte has such very big, bigger than little bit rounder. The nose is peculiar shape. So much. Very small mouth. Okay, now some of the shadows look almost blue on them, which is unusual. They do. There's a kind of appearance of blueness. For instance, right here, and right there where her eyes just kind of pop out at you, and the shadow right here for her nose, and right here. There is a kind of blueness to the puffiness of her face. That's our Charlotte. Starting to look more like that. First, we can make it less blue later. But do you see that? And also her features a little bit. Dog really wants me to quit. You know what? Yeah, pretty soon I'll have to quit, but I'm holding on and trying to work on this as much as I can before I have to go attend those meetings. I have an intern menagerie, and I think that Emily would understand that. Emily loved animals, and so I think she would understand. I think this is Emily's shawl, not Emily's neck right here. So this could be part of what the confusion is. There were some more blue shadows here. And yeah, where her neck meets the shawl, like this. You can see that I'm gravitating to wanting to paint Emily here, Emily, and Charlotte there, rather than painting Anne or Branwell, because I'm feeling less familiar with them somehow. So I will make them real later in the game. Right now, I'm trying to make Emily and Charlotte pop out at me so that I can then work on the others. Okay, and there's of course a shawl here. It's sort of like there's weight, but not too much. That's how these shawls are made. They're kind of transparent. All right, to define Emily's neckline a little bit better, you do this. All right, let's start a little bit more over here. Obviously, her part is big. And here we've got some hair of Anne's that is obscuring Emily's face. Okay, we can give her some shadow here on her neck, underneath her chin, just to create a little bit more depth to this. Part of the problem is there's not really that much depth to this painting, to the original one. So I want to create depth, I want to create realism, but I also kind of want to be true to the original. Okay, there's something here about Anne. She's going this way. So It's kind of almost an orange quality to Emily's lips. Very small lips. And what she has of blush also has this almost orange quality to it. She's got some shadow here that also appears orange. Looking a little bit like let's take that orange thing. And let's just say, and we got some highlights here. And there you've got Branwell. Branwell's hair, which is a bit of a carrot top. Now I'm going to venture into the color line. I'm just going to change it a little. I think that the Bronte sisters were actually kind of myopic, and that's why no matter what color their eyes actually were, they had this tendency to look black because their pupil was enlarged, as in the case of people who are myopic. So this is why we're not going to see a lot of blue, even if their eyes have blue in them. Very large. Branwell actually wore spectacles. The others didn't. Need a little bit more. So this is where we stand with our quartet there, the three sisters and the brother. And I'm going to take a break now because we've been at it for about an hour. But as you can see, this is not at all done. We're just starting out. This is the basis on which I'll be painting all week until I create a painting that I'm satisfied with, at which point I will give you a speed painting. So right now, this is the original that we're working from, and this is our work in progress. So I'll say goodbye now. Make sure to subscribe if you have not already, and give it a like if you like. Thank you. Bye bye now.